ancient China, solar and lunar eclipses were regarded as heavenly signs that foretold the future of the emperor. The ancient Chinese believed that solar eclipses occur when a celestial dragon or dog devours the sun. To ward off the celestial dragon, the Chinese believed that people should bang on drums, pots, and pans to frighten it away. This folk tradition persists around the world today.
The Inuit people's myth concluded that the sun and moon were both siblings. When the world spawned, the two siblings argued intensely amongst each other. The sun, Melina, abandoned her brother, Anagan, the moon. And Anagan was furious and took after Melina. He caught her and expelled her light, casting a shadow across Earth.
Following of the Norse mythology, believing that two wolves named Hattie and Skull were trying to eat the sun and the moon. If Hattie and Skull called the sun of the moon, the gods would fight, causing the end of the world, called Ragnarok.
The Samudra myth, also known as the Turning Sea, is deeply intertwined with the significance of lunar eclipses. The story was a pivotal moment in Hindu mythology, involving both gods, devas, and demons, asuras, in the quest to obtain the nectar of immortality, Amrit. Indian people believed that while an eclipse was happening, someone was drinking the nectar of the gods. While both gods were fighting and traveling to obtain the nectar, they crossed paths. Lord Vishnu, leader of the devas, tricks the demons into holding the head of the snake while the devas holds the tail. The serpent is pulled back and forth and they start churning the ocean.
My era of people are the Batambiliba people, or the Tamari people, who lived in Togo and Benin. And in a departure from the most eclipse myth, the Batambiliba people of Benin and Togo believe that the eclipse is a time to bring peaceful resolution to disputes. Four mothers, aka female ancestors, Kuyukok and Puka Puka, were so enraged with the fighting villagers they extinguished the sun and moon to startle them. Contrite, the people stopped fighting and gave one another gifts as offerings of peace. The Tamaulipa people in Togo and Benin believe that the sun and moon are fighting during an eclipse. The people encouraged the sun and the moon to stop fighting.
In the ancient Aztec civilization, an eclipse presented the possibility of the end of the world. If the solar eclipse, with an earthquake, ever fell on the date 4 Allen, it would herald the end of the world. Since the Aztecs were skilled astronomers, they knew that the eclipse would not occur on 4 Allen until the 21st century. If the eclipse was complete, they believed that demons of darkness would destroy the earth. In Aztec myth, blood sacrifices were necessary to ward off disaster. Aztec myth also holds that eclipses are dangerous for pregnant women, a superstition that persists in some parts of the world today.
The ancient Maya saw solar eclipses as a broken sun and thought of it being something that's very destructive. It was also believed that certain animals attacked the sun, like star demons that Mayan people believed ate the sun. Mayan people would bang drums and make loud noises to scare them away. Another belief the Mayan people had was that when you looked directly at a solar eclipse, birds would poke your eyes out and you would be blind. The Mayans decided instead to view the reflection of the sun in buckets of water. The Maya made very accurate calculations from their observations and recorded mathematical calculations to predict solar and lunar eclipses. In conclusion, the Maya civilization had many myths for what caused solar eclipses, but also collected a lot of useful information which have helped us figure out when and why solar eclipses happen.
The Greeks only had a solar eclipse about every 80 to 120 years. The Greeks believed that eclipses were a sign the gods were angry with humans. They thought that the sun would abandon Earth, bringing unhappiness upon the civilization. The word eclipse actually comes from the Greek word meaning abandonment. In the days leading up to an eclipse, they rounded up captives to replace the king, with the hope that the real king would escape the cosmic punishment. After the eclipse, they killed the captives for caution.
The Taino lived throughout the Caribbean for nearly 1,000 years before the Europeans arrived. The moon goddess was Atabe. Her son, Yokahu, created the moon and stars from gemstones. According to Taino legend, the sun rose from a cave at dusk and returned there when the sun came up. The most well-known Taino eclipse story isn't a myth. In 1503, Christopher Columbus had to abandon his ships on the shores of what is now Jamaica. The Taino ancestors, the Arawaks, lived there. They provided the crew with food. Weeks turned into months. The crew mutinied and killed many Arawaks. They were also running low on food and wanted Columbus and his crew to leave. Columbus had an almanac with him and knew that on February 29, 1504, there would be a lunar eclipse. He told the Arawak chief that the Christian god was angry because they stopped providing them with food, and then he would give a sign of his anger. When the eclipse happened, the Arawaks were so frightened that they gave Columbus' crew everything they wanted.